Now, this next concept that he takes us to starts in verse 6. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. So it's this idea of sometimes we share things that are too sacred, and he's using hyperbole, speaking of swine and dogs. Dogs were not man's best friend in first century Jewish context like they are today. And swine are the most unclean of all of the unclean animals to a first century Jewish audience. This seems to be this appeal to keep sacred things sacred. For instance, we don't go around giving people a copy of our patriarchal blessing or sharing deep spiritual and personal, intimate kinds of revelations that God has given us or that are shared in a family setting.
But it's interesting, moving on from this similar concept that God says, I want to give you more if you know how to treat it responsibly. He says, ask and it shall be given you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. So God is not trying to keep us from having pearls, but he is saying, if you can be responsible for what I am willing to give you, I will give you even more.
Isn't that fun in English, this acronym, how it works? And that is one of the most commonly repeated commandments in all of Scripture across the standard works, is this command to ask. God works among the children of men according to their faith. We have to ask in many cases before those blessings are given. And then we seek him and we knock on the door of heaven. Don't you love that in English how that works out? With ask being the acronym here for ask, seek, and knock. And I would just suggest that symbolically this ultimately happens in the temple of our God. The veil of the temple represents this beautiful analogy of being the flesh of Christ, to reference the epistle to the Hebrews. We enter into heaven by coming through the veil, and it's there we come to Christ to ultimately ask and to seek and to knock on that door of heaven in hopes that it will open up to let us in. And look at the promise that he gives in verse 8. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. He didn't leave a lot of qualifiers there. He just left it pretty straightforward. You ask, seek, and knock, and you're going to get things. He didn't tell you when you're going to get them. He didn't tell you how you're going to get them or in what proportions you're going to get them. He just promised that you would receive all of those blessings.